Well, it's not too bad. It's still
I like you even better now.
Did you all?
Yeah, John has aged well.
That's our famous picture. That's
Are you,
on
You're breaking up, John.
are you all,
on the, we did for the first reunion.
Dave?
Yeah,
Are you seeing what I'm seeing? I just got a thing on my screen that said this meeting is being recorded.
yes,
Okay.
yes. There was a request to record it so that a recording could be sent to Bob Zaberna, who
Oh,
unable to get on and he's having some
I thought
problems.
so tomorrow when we can't remember it, we can watch it again.
I think we have to press continue. If you press continue, it goes away.
Yeah, you have to either continue or leave. So if it asks you, please click continue. Okay, well, welcome to the class of 1960 happy hour. Wantagh High School class of 1960 happy hour. And we've already got 13 people, 14 if we count Tony and Lynn. And I imagine more will sign on as time goes by. Here comes Sue and Dave, I'm guessing. Well, that's great. And this is our second happy hour. And the first one was terrific. And I hope this one will be too. I expect it will with all these nice people here.
Here.
It can't be a happy hour until we have our toast.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that in just a minute. Sue, you want to unmute yourself? She didn't give me permission to unmute her. There we go. She's unmuted. Sue, can you say something?
Something.
Well, we can hear you. Are you on your phone or are you on a computer?
I'm on a laptop, but I sent you a note earlier because I'm not able to stay on, we're with family right now. And
Oh, well, it's nice of you to come on at all.
yeah, so anyway, I can help out or something.
Okay. Do you have a camera on that laptop?
Yes, I should.
Okay, then click on the little start video thing and maybe we can see you and Dave at least for a moment.
There she is.
Well,
Oh, she's there. She's in the dark.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
Turn
I had
on
to
the dark.
from
Turn
everybody.
turn a light on, Sue. Put a light on it. You're hot. You must be under a bushel basket. There we go. I can see your ceiling. And there's you. Is Dave there too?
Dave is resting. I'm telling you, we went to these field hockey in 100-degree temperatures today. So we're all wiped out.
Oh my goodness.
How'd you do? How'd she do?
Oh, she did
How'd your
great.
granddaughter do?
Yeah, she did great. She's amazing. So much fun to watch. So tomorrow we start the first games at 7 in the morning. And you have to be an athlete to go watch them because you got to walk miles to get there. So everyone's really beat right now. Everyone's ready to crash. So
That heat just sucks you.
yeah.
So has everybody been aware of the fact that you and Dave are on the front cover of an important magazine on Long Island?
No.
Wow.
Yes,
What magazine?
a Pulse
Crime Watchers.
magazine. Pulse
What-
magazine,
What
when you
is it?
had done fundraisers.
Right. No, I had no
Yeah.
idea.
What is the magazine called?
It was called Pulse.
Pulse.
Pulse. Oh, a long time ago, right?
It was about 2 years ago, but it was a very impressive article and have to say that it was just amazing what you and Dave have done.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I am aware that they did some publicity for our event. But,
And so that's great. And what was the event?
we've had 3 events for St. Jude at our home. And those 3 events, continue. People are continuing now, but
That's a worthy cause.
We made over $2 million.
Wonderful.
Nice, nice.
Wow.
We had over
Very
over
good.
600
The-
people. It was wonderful.
The East End is very prosperous these days.
Exactly.
Good. So before we go any further, John, do you want to play the alma mater or no?
No,
Okay. Do you want to give
I
it
can
to?
do it, but I didn't want, I didn't plan on doing it. Just a
Okay,
minute.
then don't bother.
It's fine. It doesn't take them. Just a minute.
John is our technical expert, among other things.
Okay, let's see what we want.
Don't forget to click share computer sound.
Yeah, just a minute. I got it. Let me get here.
This is the one with the kids that was done specially for.
This'll, yeah, this is gonna be this'll be the one with the kids.
Good.
Just a minute.
This was produced especially for our class by the music department of Wanto High School.
Okay,
And
I gotta share my screen here. I gotta share some sound.
yeah,
I gotta bring this one up. I gotta get to this one. Slideshow. Current slide. And
well, good, you got it.
here we
full.
go. Can you see it?
Yeah,
Can you
it's,
see it?
It's
Okay,
not-
here we go.
it's not playing. Well,
Well, Dave, it looks like it's up to you to sing it.
It says for some reason cannot play media. Now, wait a minute. Let me do. Oh. Okay, whatever. Okay, we're gonna try to, let me do it a different way.
oh, well, there you go, one summer night.
I can give you one summer night.
Yeah.
Oh,
And we gotta close this baby.
Oh, well. Let's not spend too much time on it. One more try and then we'll forget it.
One more try. I didn't think we were gonna do that this time. First one.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to throw you a curveball.
That's okay.
Chip, you getting bored yet?
I've done a lot of stuff here.
What's that?
Are you getting bored yet?
It's amazing. Technology's great. Watching you guys master it, I'm dazzled.
Well, I used to do audio visual in high school, but this is beyond me. Unless, I may have it
So
on.
we gotta get first, second, memorial, then meaning deceased, Solano Lake.
Is it about done now?
I don't know why the first one didn't play. It was right there.
Well, if
Come
you
with
guys
it.
will excuse me, I'm gonna have to get going. I just didn't know, Dave, when you texted me if you needed any information or anything.
Well, no, we just would love to have you guys more, but we understand that family counts more than us.
Well, John knows everything. John's done a wonderful job. So
Uh,
thank
guys. Feel like an idiot.
Okay, just a minute. I'm gonna. Okay, John, I'm gonna share it.
All right.
Okay, just a second.
We have to stand and hold our hearts.
You can if you wish, but I'm
Do you
not.
have to
going
sing?
I hope, God, I hope not.
Could I ask a question that has bothered me for 60 years? Which is,
Really?
Poor thing.
what does the line towering o'er the ocean blue? I mean, it was a two-story school.
Yeah, but the oak spires.
Where were those oak spires?
At Jones Beach, did you miss them?
Yes, I did.
Okay, let's try this. If this works. I hope I got the right.
Yeah, please.
Where do I start? How do I start? No, it's
Muted.
not playing.
Yeah,
Muted?
no,
I must have it muted. Just a minute.
maybe.
Play it again, Sam.
Now, where's the volume?
Okay. Did Dave, let me do it from here. Now that I know, I had this on a couple of different slideshows. I can do it.
Okay, because I had it playing a moment ago until I stopped it. Let me stop sharing. Okay, it's all yours.
Okay, are you sharing? Am I sharing now?
Yes, with
I'm
sound.
sharing. I'm sharing. Oh,
I have a sister-in-law named Sharon.
Jesus, what is going on?
Catherine, the only tall trees I remember were at the pet cemetery across the street from the high school. What was that called? Bideawee or something?
Bideawee.
Yes.
That's the only tall trees I remember.
And actually, that's where Nixon's dog was buried.
Checkers, yes.
Checkers.
And
And
I won a citation and a few bucks cash for writing an essay about Bideawee in 5th or 6th grade. Because I lived right behind it. I used to play in the woods behind my house were owned by Bideawee. They're now the junior high and middle school. And I used to go over to Bideawee a lot. So I wrote up something and won an award.
Huh.
Okay, John, you got it?
Are you sharing? Am I sharing now?
No, but you can just click share screen and share sound and give it a go.
Leo.
Last chance.
I was gonna say, whew.
Last Chance Saloon.
Yeah,
In the old days, we used to say, "Are we there yet?"
yeah. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Go for it.
Anyway, guys,
Minimize video.
Get off.
All right, here we go. That's what I want, right there.
Right where?
Where that was, I have no. Here we go,
Okay.
you know?
All right, you got to start it over again. Let's hope you got sound.
Towering o'er the ocean blue, risking oak spires proudly view, dear old Montauk. Montauk's green hill rising legend, memories of her never ending. Sing on high with voices blended, praise to Montauk. Always to remember, noble alma mater, let planets fly in all
everybody, so when you want to say something, unmute. But John, if you'll continue, would you like to offer a toast and stop sharing? There we go.
Let me stop sharing.
Okay, and I unmuted you anyhow, so.
Okay, everybody. Oh, everybody's muted. Let's
Yep.
raise our glasses.
You can unmute if you wish.
This is our fourth time. It's been wonderful. Let's continue to keep the memories of the class of 1960 at Montauk High School alive and well, and all of us alive and well.
Here,
Cheers,
here.
everybody.
From your mouth.
Alan joined us.
Wonderful. Hi, Alan.
Here's to being alive.
Yes, all of us. May we all stay that way. And the Parduans are coming to us, I think, from the ballpark, so we'll see what happens when they get on. So, is Sue still on, or did she leave?
She left.
Sue left.
Okay, well, like I say, family overall. Let's wait for the Parduans and we'll move on from there.
Our temperature is finally going down here in the west. It's
Is
not
that-
100. It's
Is
not
that good or
100.
bad?
It's not 105 today. It's only 101.
Wow.
That's a cold spell.
Yeah, but it's dry.
It's a dry heat. Yeah, you got it, Tony.
Would you say that?
So is an oven, dry.
Parduans, unmute yourselves. Nope, you're still muted. They're on their phones, so it might be a little more difficult there. Okay. So whichever Parduan has the phone, say something. Jerry, are you there?
He said that, yeah.
Pat, are you there? Pat or Jerry? Oh, well.
Okay.
What they need are grandkids involved. That would solve the
Yeah,
problem.
well, they're on a phone, and I don't know the controls on the phone at all. I tried once getting on Zoom by phone. I got in through the Zoom app. It was a little easier, but it was terribly difficult.
They may have bandwidth issues there where they are too.
That could be. Well, they can do it later. So we can go on to some general conversation about what we've been doing since high school. There's a few people that are new or have not yet added to that conversation, or we can talk about the reunion, or what do you want to do?
Well, I want to say welcome to the folks we hadn't seen before. Maybe some of you have, but I hadn't seen Pat Creighton.
Right, and Chip.
And Chip, right.
And Marlene, I don't think.
And Marlene, I think you were on before.
And Kathy wasn't, right?
Yeah.
Kathy, were you on before?
Once.
Once, yeah.
You were on once, Catherine, weren't you?
Yeah, and I know we've seen Vita and Ginny and Eleanor, and Harold is always faithful. And who else?
We hadn't seen Chippy.
No, we hadn't seen Chip. So Chip, where are you?
West Baghdad, Virginia. Morgantown,
West Virginia.
Morgantown.
yes. Yeah,
Excellent.
Morgantown, the home of WVU.
Excellent. Very good.
Wow.
You want to, Chip, you want to give us a couple of minutes version of what your life has been since high school? Because you've had more adventures than most.
Well, in a nutshell, Marine Corps with Mike Hamill, John Lagomacino, Bob Reisman, and Artie Johnson, and flight training and naval flight training. Got a little tour in Vietnam. Came back, worked for Eastern Airlines, mostly out of Boston, a little out of Miami, a little out of New York. Walked away from that job in 1989 due to kind of labor issues with a guy named Frank Lorenzo, and went to work for McDonnell Douglas. Did some flight tests for them for about 4 years. Then went to work for Korean Airlines, flying trans-oceanic routes for them for about 6 years. Came back to work for the Boeing Company. And I'm still with the Boeing Company, working full-time from home as a full-time employee. Been here for almost 16 years. This is my work outfit, my work uniform.
Very formal.
Pretty sweet. So other than that,
Am I
had a
correct?
couple of,
Am I
Say again?
correct? You've also done crash investigation too.
several, yes. Work with the NTSB in DC, your neck of the woods, Dave, as part of the ops group for the NTSB.
Well, that's great. What's the heaviest plane that you were flying?
MD-11,
MD-11.
640,000 pounds,
640 what?
1,000 pounds.
Wow, that's a big bird. How many passengers could it carry?
It could carry 410,
410.
410.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you were the pilot.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
So what about Pat Creighton?
You're muted.
You muted, Pat. What planes were you flying?
Where is Pat?
Pat, can you unmute
Where is
yourself?
Pat? Where
I'm
is
at
that
Pat?
working now?
There
There
we
she
go.
is.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was afraid to touch anything, I'd lose it. I tried last time and could never get in.
So tell us a little bit about your life after high school.
I moved to Florida in 1970 and have moved around different parts of Florida. When I retired from the electric company after 24 years. And we moved to a retirement called the Villages.
Mhm.
And that was quite a place. I learned to play golf. I got 2 hole-in-ones, and that was quite an achievement. And then when my husband was diagnosed, we moved up to North Florida, where our daughter has a little farm. They have about 25 cows, and they had a couple of pigs and some horses, and she has chickens, and I have a miniature donkey. She's 7 years old, and her name is JJ. And I don't live there now. I moved to a all-in-one community. I'm right on the Swanee River now. Just moved here 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And so I go back at least twice a month now to visit my donkey, and I have to bring her carrots. And I have to cut my grass too still.
Good.
So, but life has been good. I'm really happy with the way things have gone. And I have my daughter, and she's only about an hour away from where I am now. I love retirement.
Oh, that's great. And Catherine, I don't think you've told your story before, have you? You're muted. You've done some rather remarkable things with your business.
I have no idea. Am I muted right now?
Right now, we can hear you.
Okay, good. Yeah, I started, I love to write. So I started in public relations, and then actually 40 years ago, I started my own agency. And we handle primarily corporate clients, but my area of expertise is in crisis management, which has kept me very busy through the pandemic. First with nursing homes and hospitals, and then with the Black Lives Matter movement, and then with all kinds of corporate issues. Anyway, it's the only, actually, crisis management is the only field I think that you get rewarded for being old. So, because they view that as experience. So it's been an interesting ride, and I've enjoyed it. And I know that everyone tells me I should retire, but right now I have really good people I work with, and I'm enjoying what I'm doing. So
That's great. And you're in the Huntington area, is that right?
we're in Huntington, but our clients are across the country, and actually some international.
And you help businesses sometimes repair their reputations when they've had bad press and things like that too, right?
We help them repair their reputations, but we also, half of the agency is devoted to people who are actually building reputations, and the other ones are helping them keep themselves out of the paper. And that's the harder.
So in this case, the only good publicity is no publicity.
Absolutely.
Just the reverse of what they say in Hollywood. Okay, who else haven't we heard from? What you've been up to? Ed, did we ever hear your story?
Well, I'd say I've been, after Wantagh, I did my graduate work at Hofstra. That's because I was peddling shoes in Hempstead for the little hole-in-the-wall Regal shoe store down there. So it was convenient to work in Hempstead and take my MBA classes up at Hofstra, and then tried to get into full-time work. I went downtown to Wall Street, worked for the International Department of Old Manny Manufacturers Hanover Trust. Quickly got bored with that, so in 6 months I switched over to Chase Manhattan Bank and got into a weird department over there called non-computer systems. And, that was interesting. Got to revamp the money transfer department, put in all these little conveyor belt type of things, and color coded all their forms so that if they were transferring money from Chase to the Union Bank of Switzerland, it was going to be, yellow coordinated into the yellow slots, and then if it's going to the Bank of London, purple paper to the purple slots and stuff like that. Then one afternoon I saw an ad in the paper, and it says, "Have you wanted to get into programming?" Well, being with non-computer systems, I felt that this computer stuff was a common thing. And since they didn't respond to me at Chase Manhattan to move me into programming and stuff like that, I responded to the ad from this little company called IBM. So, well, went out to the Garden City branch office on a Saturday morning, took their aptitude test, I guess, and it was kind of interesting because with a Z in my name, I was always used to being last. And so we're sitting around and they start calling everybody up and saying, "Okay, thanks for coming. Now you've taken the test. We'll be in touch." And they'd shake their hand and send them out the front door. Finally, I'm the last one sitting there in the break room, and the HR people come over and sit down and say, "Okay, now we want you to fill these extra pages, this official application out." I said, "Oh, you didn't do this for anybody else?" They said, "No, but you're the only one who passed the test." Oh, okay. And wouldn't you know, that opened the door for a 30-year career with IBM. I got to wander around the whole country. I've been in all 50 states and a dozen foreign countries. spent time, worked in Britain, down in the southern Britain area, and also at the IBM Ed Center in La Hope, Belgium. And over in the Far East, worked out of Hong Kong and Singapore for a while. Then came back and bounced around, went from New York area, Westchester County, out to Chicago, spent a decade in Chicago, and then transferred down to Texas. And when I retired from IBM, wasn't ready to hang up my spurs then. So I picked up as computer security manager for a trucking company in Temple, Texas, where I am now, called McLean Trucking. McLean used to also be the owner of the Houston Astros. And we used to have company outings where he'd bus us down to Houston, and we'd have them at the Astrodome. So it was always that was kind of interesting. One of the things that Tony Kamasi might find interesting, because if he remembers when we were in gym class together back at Wantagh, there were fewer guys who were less athletic than I was. I was not a big athletic character. But wouldn't you know it? Down here in Texas, I got roped into coaching. I ended up coaching men's soccer, women's soccer, softball, and baseball for the YMCA. And I did that for about 20 years. And I said, that's unbelievable. You can take somebody like myself and basically coach these kids purely on theory, because practice was.
It's amazing.
But it was fun. It was fun. And I worked heavily with the Boy Scouts. I was a district commissioner with the Boy Scouts and helped Hancho, my son, all the way up to his Eagle Scout badge. And that was, but it was a good, hey, it's been
Let's see,
life. I managed to survive this long, and it's been pretty full. So I'm pretty happy.
Good for you. We could use you around here right now because we have a 3-year-old granddaughter and a 5-year-old grandson who are quote unquote playing soccer. We have no clue what they're doing or why they're even there, what they're supposed to do with the ball. So
it's all right.
Maybe you can help them.
Interesting, Ed, as a non-athlete being a coach, we have another classmate who unfortunately has passed on, Peter Murmer, who was anything but an athlete, far less than you. And he was an athletic director for a college in Western New York. So, you're sports smart can help people even if you can't play the game yourself.
That's
I
true.
mean, it's hard to imagine Pete as an athletic director, but he was for many years.
Yeah, I remember Pete, David. I remember Pete. Yeah, but
He was a good manager too.
Yeah, he
of
was.
a couple of teams.
yeah.
Yeah. I managed varsity basketball when I was still in 8th grade too, and I can't play anything. I was the guy always picked last when they were choosing up teams. So, but
There's a lot of people in our class who had a lot of talents back then that I don't even know if they still have now, but I won't mention any names, but there was someone in our class who I'm eternally thankful for because he was incredibly artistic and wound up creating for me a New York State driver's license when I was 16.
it said you were 18.
As being 18, so I could stop at McNips and the JBH kind of legally.
Statute of limitations, that's gone.
Yeah.
And how long was he in Sing Sing?
Flying jets.
Oh, really?
As I recall, he had a co-patriot in this endeavor too. Who was that, Chip?
Geez, you're gonna have to tell me. I don't remember.
There was another didn't you get stopped by the police one day and you pulled out the wrong license by mistake?
Well, There's a lot of stories like that. That probably we shouldn't recount.
Okay.
Yeah, we got arrested.
Yeah, if we
Matter of fact,
weren't
for forgery.
if we weren't recording, you could tell us more about it.
I think the statute of limitations got me on the hook. But yeah, they took it seriously. I was pretty good with that pen. And I did pull out the wrong license. And they looked at it and they said, how'd you get this? You're not 18. No, I'm not 18. Well, how'd you get it? Well, I'll tell you the truth. I drew it. And they didn't believe it. But, so they charged me with first-degree forgery.
And were you
But
convicted?
On the grounds of good character, they let me off. I don't know exactly how we pulled that off. I don't think any of you guys testified, did you? In my behalf. I think we had Father Hines from St. Francis come to court and say, what a fine altar boy this fellow is. And so they let me off the hook. Thank goodness.
Oh, that's great stories. Now, who else haven't we heard from in previous get-togethers? Marion
guess-
or Marlene?
Well, I had, after I left school, I went to business school and then got married to Pete, which I'm sure some of you know. And he graduated the year before us and had 2 children and worked as a bookkeeper, actually, part-time while we were married. And we did get divorced in 1989, and I had to develop a career, which I did in the food business. And I worked my way up and eventually was a district manager, actually working in New York for 15 years. And then my mother had to move in with me, and we wound up selling both our homes and moving up to New Hampshire. And she lived with me for the last 5 years of her life. And up in New Hampshire, I wound up working for another food company, not quite as interesting as the ones in Manhattan, because it was assisted living homes. I couldn't believe the difference with people who know the New York area and came up. They were so far behind what was going on in the industry. And I'm sure it's in every industry, because they don't keep up on this stuff. It was really an interesting transition. And
Marlene,
now,
what company did you work for in New York?
Restaurant Associates,
Okay, yeah.
they have it's a very high-end cafeteria. We
Yes.
do a lot of catering. They did the PGA golf tournaments.
Yeah.
So
And
it was-
now you're in Massachusetts?
And now I'm in Massachusetts and Boston. When I finally decided after my hip was replaced, I was too far away from my daughter. So I figured she's the one that's going to look out for me. And so I'm in West Roxbury, which is part of Boston. And my son lives in Omaha. I said, you lucked out, Kenny. I'm not moving to Omaha.
Where did you
So
live
that's
in?
why I'm here. And
where
I
did you live
actually
in-
just last year somebody offered me a position, and I do administrative work for the EPA. But because of COVID, I'm working from home. So
Where did you live in New Hampshire?
Wyndham, right over the border.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right over
Yeah, I lived-
which border?
the border from Massachusetts to New Hampshire. So, and I picked that
Right.
place not knowing where we were going to go, but I looked on a map, literally looked on a map, and I said, okay, if I move up, I still had to work. It was before my retirement. And I said, I have to get a job. And it gave me access to Manchester, Nashua, Portsmouth, and Boston to look for a job when I went up there. So, and I always tell people, and I said, I went up with my mother, no job and no insurance. I said,
Wow.
but and when you really, God works in mysterious ways, and I was there 2 weeks and got a job. So,
Wonderful.
that's what I did for the last 5 years of my career working. And then I've had, just odd things just to keep myself busy. But this one came out, was amazing. I couldn't believe you work for this company. They don't actually pay me. They have a grant for seniors for part-time position for the EPA. And it's a part-time job with benefits. Did you ever hear of that?
No.
So I figured, I'm working from home because of COVID. It works for me.
Good. Chip, you had another question for Marion?
Well, I was curious where she lived in New Hampshire, Dave. I
Okay.
lived there for 21 years.
Where did you live,
and
Chip?
loved
Whoops, you're breaking up.
just east of Hanover, upstate. Oh, really? I lived upstate New Hampshire, near Hanover.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
It's a beautiful state. It was,
I loved it. Yeah.
Is that near the Canadian border?
No, 2 hours, couple hours.
Okay. So who else haven't we heard from in any of our meetings? I don't know. Did we ever hear from Eleanor or Jenny?
Eleanor.
I think I've given you mine.
Yeah, I think Jenny did. What about you, Eleanor? Did you ever tell us your story?
Yes, I did. There's so
Okay.
many new people though.
Well,
Okay.
why don't you give the 1.5 minute version?
1.5 minutes. After I left Wanto, I went to Bellevue School of Nursing with Pam Mully, Judy Cornhole,
Yeah.
Maureen Miller, and I. Graduated, went to work at Meadowbrook, where I told them I took care of Robert Ogilvy's son when he had I remember they were twin boys. I can't remember what was wrong with the child. I have 4 daughters, 10 grandchildren. I moved to Florida 30-something years ago. And they were talking about playing soccer. I joined an adult women's soccer league in my late 30s and played soccer till I was about 41. I don't know what I was doing out there with those 26-year-old girls,
Wow.
but it was fun. And Pat Creighton, I am so happy to finally see you. Your name came up every meeting, but they could never find you.
I couldn't connect for some reason, but
And it is
I've
so
been
good to,
practicing all day.
it's so good to see you. We lived right
I'm
around
in,
the
I'm
corner.
in Northeast Florida.
There you go. I'm in Tampa.
I lived in St. Pete when I first moved to Florida
There you go. I have
in
my lightning.
1970.
I have my lightning shirt on tonight.
Well,
They're
we were at
playing
Tampa Bay.
tonight.
We had season tickets to the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I had the distinction of sitting next to Testaverde's father. And we didn't know who he was at the time.
At
And
the time.
one of our other members of our group was not very favorable of Vinny's, and Vinny's father said, I need to introduce myself.
So,
That was interesting,
It is.
but he didn't sit there next time.
Alan, I think we've heard from you before, haven't we?
Nope. I only mentioned my time in the Air Force.
Okay, did you have time for anything other than the Air Force?
Yeah, I have to preface whatever I say. Some of you might remember a movie called Paint Your Wagon. Back
Yeah,
in
well, I know the
1969.
show. I've
Yeah.
seen the show.
Well,
not the movie.
In that movie, Lee Marvin sang a song called "I Was Born Under a Wandering Star."
Yep.
Remember that song? I'm not going to try. I'm not going to try to sing it.
Wandering star.
Exactly. Well, unfortunately, I think that was my fate in life. I was born under a wandering star because after the Air Force, I'd spent time in Florida and I liked St. Petersburg and Clearwater. So after the Air Force, I decided to go to St. Petersburg Junior College. I guess they're all now community colleges. They're not called junior colleges anymore. And after those 2 years, I went back to New York. I was a snowbird before anybody knew what a snowbird was. So I went back to New York. I got a job at Grumman working in the aircraft department. And while I was there, I decided I didn't want to be a mechanic. I wanted to be a pilot. So I packed up, went back to Florida and got a commercial pilot's license, multi-engine stuff and instrument rating in Florida. And I worked there out of Fort Lauderdale as a co-pilot in a little twin engine plane, taking the rich people from Fort Lauderdale to Nassau and Nassau back to Florida. And that was for about 3 or 4 months. And I got bored with that. So I went back to New York again. And I applied for a job at Pan American World Airways as a pilot. Well, back then they weren't hiring, but luckily the lady in the human resources department said, "Oh, you have a mechanics license and you're a commercial pilot. We're looking for someone in the flight training department to work in an administrative position. Would you like to set up an appointment with Captain Walker in flight training?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So lo and behold, a week later, I went back to Pan Am and they hired me. So I became coordinator of flight training for Pan Am. Well, I wouldn't explain what the job was, it's too complicated. But after 2.5, 3 years, I got bored with that. So I packed up my Firebird 400 and headed to California. And I ended up at Lake Tahoe. And I became a ski bum for a number of years. And then I went back to college again. I used the VA, had a college bill pass. So I went back to University of California at Santa Cruz and I got a degree as a urban planner, city planner. And I worked for the city of Ventura in Ventura, California for 20 some odd years. Then I decided when I retired, I was going to sell everything, buy a pickup truck and a travel trailer and travel with a singles group. So that's what I did for 10 years. And then I bought a park model where I live now. And I kept my trailer. So I'd spend my summers here and my winters down along the Colorado River and up until now. And that's kind of what I've done.
So but you just sold your trailer, is that
I
right?
did.
So what are you living in now?
I have a home, a small home in a retirement community in
Uh-huh.
Prescott Valley, Arizona.
Okay,
But-
has any of your directory information changed?
No,
Okay, otherwise I
No.
will get in touch with
no,
you.
still the
Update.
same. If anybody has any ideas where to go in the Caribbean for 2 or 3 months this winter, send me an email.
I want to hear from Marlene.
You're muted, Marlene.
Then I have a pretty fairly, boring life. I went back to school when my daughters were in high school, got my degree in accounting, got my CPA when I was 42. Spent 7 years in public accounting in regional and national firms. And then the rest of my career, I spent as a controller for public companies, doing mostly SEC work, audit work, and that kind of stuff. I retired when I was 65. I had enough of 70-hour weeks. And my kids live far. They live in New Jersey. One lives in New Jersey, one lives in California. And even when I was working, I never wanted to be the grandma on the telephone. So once a month I traveled. Friday night to Sunday, either to California or New Jersey. And
That's quite a difference.
yeah, well, I really was, I'll tell you a story. I went to the airport to pick up my daughter and my grandson. And there was a woman there waiting for her grandchild to come. And when the grandchild, this kid was about maybe 2, the lady bent over and said to him, "Don't you know me? I'm your grandma on the telephone." And I said to myself, "Oh, that's never going to happen. There's no way I'm going to be the grandma on the telephone. I'm the grandma at the airport." And now my grandchildren, the youngest one's is 16, the 2 big ones are 20. And it has paid off in more aspects than I can even imagine. My kids are far away. My grandkids are far away. I haven't seen my California kids in 2 years. I went up 3 weeks ago to New Jersey. I hadn't seen my other grandchildren for 1.5 years. But we have such great contact FaceTime is amazing. Whenever there's an issue, it's me that they call. Grandma is still grandma. So it's a good life. It's fine.
Where
It's
do
a
you
fun-
live,
I've been in
Marlene?
Florida for 30 years.
Oh.
What part of
Um,
Florida?
What part of Florida?
I'm in South Florida. I'm in, right now, I lived in Boca Raton for 30 years. And I recently moved to an over 55 community. Assuming that it's sometime, maybe, 20 years down the road, I won't be able to drive and they have buses. So, but it's a
And that-
community where everything is here. We have our own movie theater, we have our own theater for concerts. Great clubs, very interesting things going on now that it's starting to open up. I travel to see my children and my grandchildren.
Great. Now that's Tamarack? Is that the Tamarack?
Tamarack, yep.
Okay, great.
Wow.
It's Broward.
I know that-
It's Western Broward County.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
It's
So
about
you're
15
in,
miles west of Fort Lauderdale.
so you're in the Everglades.
Yeah, just about. If you walk outside, you will absolutely think you are in the Everglades.
Look out for the alligators.
Haven't seen an
So-
alligator, but there are other creatures around.
I think that accounts for everybody that we haven't
Excuse
heard.
me, David.
before.
David.
Harold, do you have something to?
David,
Yeah.
I know I've missed some of these and I always remember Vita very fondly.
Oh, yes, we haven't heard from Vida.
But could you fill us in?
Muted.
Vida, you're muted.
I'm muted.
I got you unmuted. That's okay. You gave me permission, so I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot. I missed you there up in the corner. Sorry.
Hey, Dave and everybody, it's Chip. I'm going to bail on you. We're going out for a gathering with some folks who we're planning to meet this evening, listen to a little Texas rock and roll and live.
Well,
And we're a little bit behind the curve, so got to get going. But good seeing all of you. And I'm glad you're still around and kicking. So many of us have not managed to live as long as we have. Long may you run. And
Thank you.
good seeing you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us, Chip.
Nice to see you.
Good night, all.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Good night.
Night.
Chip didn't mention it, but I think he still has his own plane that he flies. I was going to ask him before he left.
I think it's time to build
Chip, do
the
you have your
air
own-
raid shelter.
Do you have your own plane, Chip?
I just got rid of it, Dave. I no longer have the airplane, wasn't using it enough, but it sure was fun having it for about 12 years. Being able to hop in it, hop up to see the kids in New Hampshire, down to kids in Georgia. But sorry, I don't have it anymore. I wish I did.
And
Sorry
did you
to
have
hear
your
that.
own- Did you have your own grass strip on your property?
No, when I had the airplane, I probably had enough room to land it once, but only once. I don't think I ever would have flown again.
You couldn't take off again. Okay, well, take it easy and thanks so much for joining us.
Keep me in the
Good to
loop.
see you.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Chip. I'm sorry you couldn't stay longer.
See you
You
in.
guys too.
No.
Keep me in the loop when you do it again. Bye-bye.
Okay, we'll let you know. Okay, so
Dave, can
Vida,
I-
your turn. Good night.
Dave, can I jump in or?
Yeah, sure, go ahead, and then we'll do Vida.
Well, I've told you all about myself enough times. I don't want to do that. But I'm one of those kind of people that reflects on things. And I've had a lot of things kind of happen in terms of these sessions over the last few and that. And I just wanted to maybe take a couple minutes and share with you some of my reflections on that and see if I can connect some dots. Because several of you are dots in my life. And it's kind of hard to explain because I'm the guy that when we left high school, I mean, my recollections of the last year or so of the people on the table here right now, John Higgins is probably the only guy I really hung around with to any degree. David Russo, who's been here occasionally, we palled around, but very frankly, when I walked away from graduation with you, I was gone. I went west and I never looked back. And frankly, other than the reunion in Southampton, I never made it back to Wantagh or any place even close to you. So, so I have a funny sort of sense of connect the dots. I guess that's the way to put it. And the person, one of the people I remember longest in my life is Lynn Thompson. And Lynn captured my heart in the 3rd grade. And I mean, I carried her books home from school. I mean, and she looks exactly the same except for the color of her hair. It's a little, that's all.
Probably a good time
And-
for that one.
No, it was most mutual, Harold. I've told Tony many times.
Well, you know, anyway, that's one of the funny dots in life, Lynn. I remember seeing you in Southampton, and I knew who you were from across the room, and I knew instantly. And I had seen nobody in this class for 50 years at that point. So anyway, you kind of lit that up for me.
Well, I'll tell you, it was very mutual. I tell Tony all the time, Harold Hine was my very first boyfriend. And
Right, I was.
in
And
3rd
you were my very first girlfriend,
Yep.
without a doubt. I
remember your mom and your dad and your brother, and
Yep.
you had a dachshund, right?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
Yep, your memory's great.
And Harold,
So
you did the nicest thing at that reunion in Southampton. You brought a copy. You said your mother had given it to you, a copy of our last Wantagh Warrior newspaper.
Wow.
As we are getting ready to sell our house and move to another, stay in Ypsilanti, I was going through stuff regularly and I came across it, and I treasure it because that was really, really very kind of you. So, yes.
Well, I'm glad I remembered it. Very frankly, other than if it hadn't been for my mother, I wouldn't have had it. Okay. And the only reason I have stuff from the college days is because my wife I met in college and she saved stuff and that I never saved anything and those kind of things. But anyway, there's been other people in my life. Okay. I'm sorry, Lynn, you got to kind of fast forward. But the reality is that it's sad because a lot of the other people I remember just aren't with us anymore. And they were very special to me, and they were part of my life. And again, some were around at least for that 50th reunion in Southampton. I'm glad it was there. In particular, I spent some time with Dave, and I was very glad we had that time, Dave, mutually with Lori.
With Lori.
Yeah, and so that was good. The reason for kind of the funny way at this is a funny thing happened at the start or before the last meeting. And that was a very nice member of our class wrote a note saying she would not be able to attend the Zoom meeting. And the note, well, it just really it clicked with me. It was well written by a communications expert. Okay. And I contacted Catherine and she, I may have scared her out of hell the way I showed up, but I showed up and she and I have had a chance to have 3 conversations. And the only reason I sort of mention that is I would encourage all of you to strike out and find some folks that you think you can talk to or have something to talk about or whatever. Because I discovered that Catherine not only was very successful, but she had done one thing in her life that I am just eternally jealous of, and I will be. And that is she went sailing. And I only had a chance to do that once. And so I'm very jealous of you, Catherine. And, you know, that's a wonderful thing that has added to my life, knowing you and just kind of being able to say that and everything
Well,
else. So
thank you, Harold. And I have to say that the reunion, I think I wrote the note to you and to John and Lavinia. And also Lavinia, who isn't on tonight, who, by the way, I wrote that I always harbored a grudge for many years against Lavinia because she never let me copy her homework. And, but I had just about, after 60 years, just about, you know, gotten over that. Anyway, she is a very funny lady.
Yeah.
And John, hearing from you was terrific. It was really nice to listen. So I have to say, this was a very rewarding experience, although I haven't been on before. It's been really rewarding to kind of see the faces that I remember, but perhaps haven't really known about. And you know, always surprises me, like Marlene, when you said you have it boring. I mean, to be in accounting at your level, that's so impressive. And just, you know, just really, it's fun to see how lives evolve and
It
how
is.
the people that you think of still perpetually in either 6th grade or 9th grade or 11th grade are now real people who've had rewarding lives. So thank you all. And particularly thank you, Harold, for being willing to carry on a conversation.
well, no, we had a very good one. And again, I guess all I'm trying to say is, well, we've had a chance to kind of share some stories and remembrances and everything. To a large degree, it's been name, rank, and serial number. And each of you are much bigger people than that. I mean, there's a lot more to life than name, rank, and serial number. And that's the conversations. I've had a couple of pretty good conversations with Catherine, is to discover things about ourselves that we hadn't even thought of telling people. I mean, you know, I have some stuff you don't know about me. None of you know about me. Okay? And it's not on the Google. It's not anywhere you're going to ever find it. It's all up here. I remember. But that's the richness of the things we shared way back when, and is it carries forward into today. And we all
I bet you have some Sarah Palin stories.
Well, no. Actually, I was going to suggest also in a different forum, we might find a way to kind of share with each other some of that dimension.
Yeah.
And in particular with Catherine, I had discussed the idea of at some point getting into a little bit of storytelling, and in the sort of big picture of it was called Decameron back in the days of the Middle Ages. And I don't know if you remember the story of Decameron. It people telling stories to entertain the rest of their group. And that was during the plague, actually, the Black Plague in Italy, way back when. And
yes,
and that
it's right.
But, I
Yes,
actually
I remember it well.
oh yeah, that was highlighted in my Italian literature college class.
Yeah.
Right. And because the stories were very bawdy and they were really actually very attractive stories to tell. But I had a chance to recreate that with a group of folks, and I was included. I had nothing to do with organizing it, but included with some folks out in Talkeetna when I lived out there. It gets a little lonely in the winter, and there aren't a lot of people drifting around, you know, that kind of interact with you per chance. So you got to work at it a little bit to create self-entertainment. Let's put it that way. And we had a good chance. So I hope, you know, again, if we have a real reunion again where we're all there and we can kind of tell each other tales, you might try to find a little bit of a format sort of off to the side or nothing else, where we can do a little bit of storytelling. And the great part of the storytelling is they can be based on fact, but they don't have to be true. Okay. And so your life can,
Harold,
your life can be enhanced. It's really very good.
I bet most of us have some stories that they could go into greater detail that are true, or at least as we remember them.
Yeah.
Truth is a funny thing.
Are you familiar with the Moth Radio Hour?
Yeah.
I mean, that is similar. I mean, I think what we're talking about is really very similar to the Moth Radio Hour. where
MOTH, Moth?
Moth. If you go on to podcasts on your phone, you've got the podcast app.
Can I do it on my computer? I don't use the phone too much.
Well, it's a show like the TED Show. Have you ever heard the TED Show?
Yeah.
Okay. It's like
MOTH, like a butterfly.
Right. Yeah. Years ago, I did one of them. You're kind of on stage for 5-7 minutes. You got an audience, and your job is to entertain them. And the story can be about anything. And my story has, you would never guess what my story was. Okay. But it had nothing to do with me other than I had experienced something and so on. And there's those kind of things. And so all I'm suggesting to the group is that in the reunion setting, it might be fun to just, because I think you're all good storytellers. I'd kind of like to hear what you thought was worth telling. And I mean, I can give you an example. I'm not going to tell you a story, but I could tell you a story about my life as a criminal that you don't know about.
Oh.
Well, we heard about Chip as a criminal, so why not?
I think we need to hear it.
Some people have a side of their life that, you know, they weren't badly convicted or served a lot of jail time, and you don't know. So, I mean,
well, before we get into that, if we do, I'd like to hear from Vita first about what she's been up to for the last 60.
Oh, yeah, great.
61 years.
Okay, I don't know how Catherine remembers me, but obviously I'm the quiet one in the group, but I don't know. I mean, I really don't remember too many incidences of having relationships with people in Wantagh High School. Obviously, I'm a quiet sort of person. Lavinia was my friend. We still keep in touch because I'm in Northeast Pennsylvania and she's in Binghamton, New York. So we see each other quite often. What did I do? After high school, I went to Albany to study Spanish and French, became a teacher in both, but then got married and off we flew to Illinois where my husband got his MBA while I was teaching, supporting him on $5,000 a year. Then he had to fulfill his ROTC agreement. So we moved to Virginia, but we were only there a year before he went to Vietnam, and I went back to New York to spend time around family. But I taught 3 years before our first son was born while he was in Vietnam, which rather unusual at that time for a woman to go to the hospital without her husband being around. But so he was born in 1968, and then I kept moving with my husband for jobs until we came here 30 years ago, and we're still here.
Vita, where is here? Where is here?
Northeast Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Wilkes-Barre area. So we're still here. We have ceilings to fix up and from damage from the winter, and that's what's keeping us busy now, but toying with the fact that we might have to or want to go to over 50. we've traveled quite extensively in the last 10 years. So in fact, we were on a trip around the world when COVID hit, and we had to fly back from Bali.
Wow.
And so then we've been stuck for the last year and a half. Yeah,
Are you gonna continue that trip?
I know. I think
No.
I think we've gotten a little bit old in this year and a half or whatever. And no, we've done a lot of cruising. And I think we're at our end. So that's it. I
Avita?
have 3 children.
Avita, it's Eleanor. I remember spending many a day at your house with you when we were really young.
Yeah, I remember
I
you.
do remember.
Yeah. You lived on Birch Street?
Atlantic Boulevard.
Atlantic Boulevard.
Mhm.
Okay.
Where
I
the
was
candy
on
store
Cypress.
was. Right.
Yeah. Your brother was friends with my brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lynn and I have said many times that even if a lot of us didn't hang around all the time together, we have an amazing bond that it's very rare for a lot of people. You know, the high school bond is one of the strongest bonds there is.
Mhm.
And whenever we get together, no matter how much we were with each other in high school or sometimes and some not, we always have things that we can talk about that we can all relate to. And that's one of the amazing things about getting back in touch with people we haven't been with before for a while. And hopefully we'll do that again. I mean, Dave will talk about that in a while, but maybe in January when we can get together live and hug each other.
Well, why don't, that's a good segue.
Wait, one moment, please.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll make it brief. Way back, I think our first Zoom reunion, Lavinia contacted me shortly after and said, "Did you say your daughter went to Binghamton?" And I wrote her back and I said, "No, that wasn't my daughter, but how are you?" And we corresponded for months. I haven't corresponded with her in probably maybe a month or two, probably 2 months now. But all through the winter, which was long for all of us, she and I just got to know each other again, and fun. I mean, she is hilarious and she has quite the life history. And we thoroughly enjoyed being together, just like Harold, like you were saying, and it was just out of the blue. I don't know whose daughter went to Binghamton, but it wasn't ours. So it ended up being a terrific thing over the winter. And like I said, I've got to reconnect. I was hoping she'd be on tonight, but it was just we talked about things like you said, Harold, that really had nothing to do with anything. But our son's dog once ate our Bible, and she
Oh, she does books.
but she repairs old books. So we had that story to tell, and it was terrific. We really, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah, I agree with you, Harold. It was just an accident how we connected, and it was really a terrific time.
And it's funny, I had the same experience with Lavinia. We weren't close in high school, but we had a marvelous conversation through the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And we were, emailing back and forth, and it was a very rich and wonderful correspondence, just
Yeah.
like you. I should also mention that I was down in South Carolina last weekend for a grandson's graduation from high school, and visited Cindy Zackby and Tom Pescott, who lived only 15 minutes from my son, and had a very nice visit. They've got this gigantic spread there. It looks like a golf course, for goodness sakes, and they've got horses and other things. They've also taken what was a derelict single wide trailer that was on the property when they bought it and transformed it into an elegant Western ranch style home. You would never know it had ever been a trailer. They closed in a little porch that was there and put in exposed beams, and they got rugs on the floor of all kinds of dead animals. And it looks like something from a resort hotel out west, and all in the space of a single wide plus a porch. And just amazing. Anyhow, it was nice to see them. I sure wasn't close to them in high school, and it was a lovely visit. And I had hoped they would join us. They said they weren't good on computers. Guess they'll have to wait till a grandkid comes out and visits. Well, somebody.
Okay, Dave, can I just make a comment? I just wanted to thank Harold for his observations about our Zoom meetings. I've really appreciated his comments and thoughtfulness. And I thought this would be someone I wish I knew in high school to sit down and just have a conversation with. And I'm sorry I never got the chance to do that, but I'm appreciating his comments and thoughts and observations for us now.
Yeah.
Well, I wish I was so mature back in high school. I wasn't.
Neither, unfortunately, neither was I, Harold. I'm not sure I'm mature now because I probably shouldn't have brought up the issue with Chip's driver's license. I probably should have kept that to myself.
Oh, I'm glad you did. Let's embarrass each other. That's fine.
Al, if you didn't bring it up, Tony would have.
Yeah. Well,
the good part is that we're all guilty of it. I mean, I carried too, so a lot of people did.
Yeah.
What got me is that, we had an 18-year-old drinking limit, and I didn't hear about a lot of automobile accidents and stuff with our young people.
Yeah.
But the kids from New Jersey, where they had a 21-year limit, used to come to Staten Island or other places and get into crashes going home.
Right.
So I think it was fine having the 18-year-old threshold. Whether we were 18 or not was another story.
Well, Dave, when I was at Rutgers for my 4 years there, that was a common move that we had head over to Staten Island because of the difference in the drinking age.
Yep.
But, you take what you can, and New York upped it to 21 and ruined everything.
Well, they were required to by the feds. It wasn't an absolute requirement, but if they didn't, they would lose certain federal aid. And all the states fell into line, just like the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. It wasn't required, but if you didn't impose it, then you lost highway aid. Or something like that. So the feds have a way of putting their thumb on the scale. In any case, go ahead.
If I didn't have access to the JBH, I wouldn't know half the people I know from Wantagh High School.
So I would like to move along and ask John Higgins to start a conversation about having an in-person reunion. He's done all the heavy lifting on this. Well, let me just let him make the announcement, and then we can fill in some details, and then we can talk about some options that we have. So John, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. Well, everybody, as you know, one of the reasons we established this committee seems many moons ago was to plan the in-person reunion. And we've sent a number of different proposals out and questionnaires, and we found that most people would be happier if we had the reunion someplace in the state of Florida. And that's because a lot of us have moved down here. The weather is nicer. And it seemed that this was the one common area that people were willing to commit to. So we looked at the various months and we checked with everybody. And the committee thought that as a combination of having the snowbirds down here and not having to commute down to Florida, if we did it early in the fall, plus the fact that if we went to a weekday rather than a weekday start rather than a weekend start, we could save quite a bit of money and we could also get a much nicer facility. So we've come to a decision and I'll share it with you if I can share my screen. This time I expected it. So here we are. We're planning the Montour High School 60th reunion at the Cocoa Beach Hilton. And it's on the ocean, right south of us in Cocoa Beach, Florida. We selected January 11th and 12th, which is a Tuesday and a Wednesday, 2022. It's right on the ocean, as you'll see. It is very nice. Dave and Sue Birdsall were down here last Wednesday, and we went over and had a couple of drinks and really checked the place out in person. We've been in touch with the young lady who handles all of the group rates. We have locked in a very attractive rate and a number of concessions, things like free parking, no activity fees, free internet, plus way under the rack rate. So we're going to be sending out more information about this, but I'm just going to give you just a little bit of the sense of what it is. You can see we are on ocean. You can walk right down. There is a heated pool that's open all year round.
You didn't see these, Tony.
We believe we can do a deal that will allow us to have this private facility, this patio, with a fire pit and everything, right outside one of the meeting rooms. And we can use this as part of our cocktail and socializing hour. This would be a representative room that goes off of that patio. And we've just gotten today information on how much that might cost. And it's very reasonable. Doing it midweek and doing it in January, it's going to be fantastic. This is an idea that we're also kicking around. If we buy a room on the one side of this room and one side of the other, there's a big central area, which would be a beautiful place to have socializing, cocktails, a light dinner, anything, right up overlooking the ocean. And we're looking into the best way that we might be able to swing that. This is one of the public areas. There's a nice restaurant here. There's a big deck with a fire pit and everything out. We can spread out. This is just a picture of the lobby.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
And over the, so it's really a nice facility. Sue and Dave visited, they stayed overnight, they raved about it. And it's It's right down, it's not too far from where I live. Nice facility to hold the reunion. Over the next couple of months, we will be sending out all sorts of information on pricing and everything. It's going to be very reasonable when you consider what we are going to be getting. So
Okay.
you don't have to do anything now. Do not contact the hotel because we're going to get a special rate and we're going to have a special code in order to get that rate.
Right.
So we're going to go in as a group. But we're very excited about it. The committee is working hard with the people. We're just getting information this week and it's going to be great. So hopefully everybody will be able to join us and we'll be able to really expand the group. Dave's got 60 or 70 people that he's actively working with to get more of our classmates down there, and it should be fantastic. So as soon as we have more information, we're going to be sharing it. But we'd like at this time just to open it up. Is there anything that you people would like to consider and what ideas you might have?
Before we open it up, I just want to clarify one
That
thing.
could help us in the planning process.
I just want to clarify one thing. When we say it's the 11th and 12th, those are the nights. So it's really the 11th through the 13th. As far as the reunion goes, we can do stuff on Sunday. At some point, we'd have to check out. But, it's a full 2-day, 48-hour type thing from, was it Tuesday afternoon through till Thursday noon.
One of the things that we had thought about, one of the things we had thought about, if during the day, looking for something to do, if you have never been to the Kennedy Space Center Visitors Center, where they have the exhibit of the space shuttle and all of the space, only probably 35 minutes from the hotel. So that could be something people could do during the day as well. Go over as a group. We could get a group discount for that as well.
I think that would be fantastic. I haven't been to the Space Center for about 45, 50 years. And I know it's changed dramatically since then. So that's something I'm looking forward to.
Hey,
And
Dave, Bob retired from the Space Center. He might have connections.
Bob Zerona?
Yes.
Okay, well, you're in touch with him. Would you fill him in on what we're up to?
Oh, I certainly will. He'll be thrilled to hear that.
And we'll get this recording to him also through.
Yeah,
you.
he just went there maybe 6 months ago for a reunion of the retirees. And he
Wow.
was telling me about it.
He worked for NASA or for a contractor or what?
NASA, I think, well, he started out with Grumman and then he transferred down to the Space Center. I don't know exactly which one, but he was there for quite a number of years.
That's great.
So he might have some contacts that would, be beneficial to us.
Yeah. Now, if only we can get him to join us. I don't know how mobile he is. but-
Well, he went there to a reunion, so if he can go
Alright.
for that, I'm hoping I can talk him into going for
All
us
right,
too.
well, we're gonna leave that to you.
Okay, I'll be working on him.
John, I have a question. Let me ask John a question.
I mean, I talk to him at least once a week, so I have plenty of time to try and convince him. And I can drive down there from where I live.
Okay, one thing that I would like people to discuss here, so we can have some feeling for what people think of this. One, what do you think of the idea of getting together in person in Florida in January? And whether you want to have more included activities, meals and stuff like that, a cocktail party, dinner or something, And whether you want to go first class or try to save as much money as we can, things like this. If you give us some feeling for what you might like to see in a reunion, that would help inform our thinking when we're putting this thing together and talking to the hotel and whatnot.
Let me
So,
ask John a question related to that. John, if people wanted to come in a day early or stay a day late, make it 3 nights or something, or four, whatever, would the same discounted rate apply?
I'm sure we can. I'm sure we could get that.
yeah, usually they allow a couple of days on either side.
Yeah.
That's one reason why we put it in the middle of the week, not on a Monday or a Thursday or something like that, so that people could extend at the weekday rate. So
It occurred to me that once we hear,
Well, as long as you're not on the weekend, I think they'd be happy to have us.
Yeah, that's also a very good time to come to Florida. All the people have left from the holidays and whatever. It's a very, very slow week for hotels and restaurants in Florida.
Well, ironically,
Where is the nearest airport?
That's the reason we're
for
getting
people
such a
coming
deal.
in?
We have a very good,
do we want to say what the lowest
the
rate
biggest one
might
is
be?
Orlando.
That's what I thought, Orlando.
Excuse me? Orlando's
It's the closest big airport.
closest. You
There
can
are-
fly into Melbourne, but it's not,
Well, Melbourne's
there
kind of
aren't that many.
small.
No,
How
the
far is
airport
it
is big,
from-
but the number of flights is small.
Right.
What is it, about 2 hours from Orlando by car? An
Yeah.
hour?
No, it's 45 minutes,
Really?
45 minutes.
That's chicken feed. The only thing is, at least right now, who knows what it'd be like in January, it may ease up, but rental cars are pretty expensive. I'm gonna drive down.
Very
And
expensive. I just looked into it. Yeah.
Yes. It's very expensive. What happened was all the rental car agencies sold their cars during the pandemic. So they have very few cars available.
Mhm.
Is there a shuttle
Uber-
service,
Yes, there is.
a shuttle service from Orlando to Cocoa?
I think there is.
Absolutely.
Yes.
There's Cocoa Beach. There's Cocoa Beach shuttle, probably $55. Uber will give you door to door, probably $65.
Sometimes the hotels even have them.
John, assuming
Not that one.
when we get this worked out, and assuming that people can get the lowest price room, are we free to mention what the rate would be at this point?
It really depends, as long as, right now, as long as we go in and book call it their discount rate, be $174 a night.
That's just incredible. That's not much more than a decent, somewhat
And
fancy
that
motel.
includes free parking.
Free
It
internet.
includes free parking and free internet. That's $20 saving right there. There is a tax. There's the Brevard County 5% hotel tax plus sales tax. So that's
Mhm.
12% you have to add on. But you're gonna do
Right.
that any place.
But that's an incredible rate, John. I mean, for a, decent,
We're looking at rack rates in the 220s to 240s right now. If you went on and just looked at the rack rate, 220, 240.
Wow. You've done well, my friend, and I want to congratulate you for that. So let's throw it over.
Right now, we've got about 30, we could guarantee you 30 rooms at that price.
And we can expand that if more people express an interest. Now, in order to.
If you do it early.
Well, that's what I was going to say. There's two things that we got to look at here. One, the earlier we lock this in and book it, the better chance we have for a selection of rooms. Because they have three different price rooms. There's City View, Coastal View, and Ocean View. Obviously, the City View is the least expensive. That's that 174 or whatever it was. Once those rooms are gone, then you got to spring for more expensive rooms. So once we open this up, once we get our code, I would urge everybody to make your reservations as early as possible to get your choice of room rates. The other thing is there's going to have to be a deposit at the same time that you make the reservation. I don't know what that'll be, probably one night, because we have to guarantee a certain amount of room nights. There's also a cutoff date after which, until which you can pull out with no penalty, right, John? And after that, there might.
Right now, it's
October 10th, I think.
right now.
I'm sorry.
They'll give us
December
72
10th.
hours before.
Yes, but as far as giving them numbers, we got to
All
do
of
that
this-
by December 10th.
Everything is, believe me, everything is right now is in the formulative stages. We are getting things from the hotel as late as this afternoon. So
Well, I want to thank John because
that's where
we've
we're gonna get it. And as soon as we have the game plan, we will let you know. But it's not, you're not gonna have to pay up front or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't work that way.
All right, I misunderstood.
You could help us if you tell us what are you thinking food wise? Do you want, because food and means rooms, you're not gonna bring in pizzas. So what are people's thoughts on that? Cocktail party first night, buffet first night, activities during the next day, a dinner, a not dinner, on your own. Give us some parameters that you think, and we'll talk about them.
What are you looking for, guys? You're looking for more included events or more on your own? How fancy do you want to go?
I'd like to keep it casual.
Casual goes without saying. I mean, nobody's going to
That's good.
dress up.
I
in-
mean, no formal dinner is what I'm thinking.
What about
That's all right.
buffet?
I've already stipulated that I refuse to be buried in anything but casual clothes.
There you go.
There you go.
I'd even
Let's
go to the
stop
North
that
East
right
if I
here.
had to.
Florida, everything's casual.
There is no such thing as dress up in Florida anymore. You can wear anything.
Yeah.
Go wherever.
If we have that parlor
dress.
room, you said not pizza, but apparently we could do pizza if people wanted to, but that would mean not having a regular dinner that night. I think, was it Lynn or Sue had mentioned something about that?
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that.
Well, what do
You're
you
muted,
folks-
Tony.
what
But the
is
reason
your thought?
I agree with her, is because if sit-down formal dinner, you are pretty much stuck at your table for as long as it takes.
Yeah.
You can get dessert.
Absolutely.
We do something where we can roam around the room like, cocktails or hot hors d'oeuvres or whatever, then we're much more able to socialize with a much greater group of people during that, 2-hour period of time or whatever it may be.
Yes.
Well, what,
We save some
Do
money.
you agree with, does everybody agree with that? Because you're hearing things from the committee here.
I agree with
Do you agree with that?
that. Yeah.
I do.
one possibility would be to have rather extensive hors d'oeuvres and a cash bar so that people can figure out their own level of what they want to drink. And that keeps the sunk price down.
Yeah.
And what do you think of that possibility? And not have a dinner that night?
Well,
If
I'm a non-drinker, so at this point, for me, the cash bar approach would be best.
that's true of a lot of us.
Well, it made a lot of sense because Dave and John, we saw something today where there's another possibility of a couple of people getting 2 suites with a common area in the center that looked pretty large enough to facilitate a gathering like that, where we could actually bring our own drinks, hire a bartender if we wanted to, and get whatever kind of hors d'oeuvres we wanted. It'd be totally casual. So,
We could do that.
possibility as well that also offers some cost saving.
I want to see how many of you that are on here right now think you may be going.
I'm gonna go.
I'm
I'm
going.
going.
I
I think I'm coming too, because it gives
Yeah.
me a chance to get back with my sister who lives in the villages there.
Ah,
Oh, I lived there for 12 years.
And Harold, I know it's far for you, but do you think you might make it down to join us?
Well, I can give you my reaction at this point, okay? That's the only way I can say it. My major thing I got to sort out, and it's just a matter of sorting it out, is how I get from Anchorage, Alaska to Orlando and back, and what kind of things I book around it. Again, very frankly, when I travel from here, I don't go to one thing for 2 or 3
Yeah.
days. I
Right.
mean, I do things on the way down. It may be, my kids in Minneapolis. It may be going by the house in Texas. I don't know. So till I really have a chance
Yeah.
to kind of look at Orlando as the destination, I don't know what the airlines.
Harold,
And Ginny has her,
Orlando is the tourist capital of the world.
I know that.
Every
I know
airline,
that.
You
but-
can probably fly from Alaska. You can probably fly direct, but you don't want to. But it's,
Yeah, well,
and there's
yes
plenty to
and
do
no, maybe.
beyond.
Yes,
Okay.
and
It's easy to get.
Maybe I don't want to do that, John.
that's right.
Okay.
Okay.
In other words, I'm sorry. I'm used to booking myself, and I'm happy to look at it. And there's nothing that says I can't do it. It's a matter of looking at how the pieces fit together and all
okay,
that.
well, I
The other
hope
part is my reaction is clear. I really don't care about the bar that much, but I don't drink. So, I'm in the kind of cash bar category. And frankly, the hors d'oeuvres is preferable. I think frankly, at our age, our eating habits have evolved to hopefully healthy enough that,
Well-
having what they call hors d'oeuvres is actually a good meal for us.
Yeah.
And,
their hors d'oeuvres are pretty extensive. I was pretty impressed with their sample menu.
yeah, well, again, but I mean, okay, so, but I'm not into ostrich right now and things like
No.
that. Okay, so I mean, maybe a little moose meat, but no ostrich.
All right, well, you could bring some with you.
I'll
Well,
bring some venison jerky.
Ginny Tice
how do
has
you
her-
feel about fresh salmon? I mean,
I love
Oh,
it,
yeah.
definitely, or
fresh
smoke.
crab or something like
Bring
that.
some down.
Okay, so
Okay, Ginny has been waiting patiently to say something. Her hand is up. So Ginny,
Is that what I didn't know,
no, Ginny Tice, I'm sorry, Ginny Birds Tice, yeah.
I didn't know my hand was up. My whole thing went down and I just got back on.
Well, you're on here twice.
One person at a time. on the screen.
You're on here twice, Ginny, and your hand is up on one of them.
Okay, well, I only have one big picture of one big person at a time. I lost.
Okay, you're gonna come and join us?
I don't know how to do that, but what I wanted to say is, yes, I'm interested in going, and I would like a better room. And as far as the guest, I'm in for whatever whatever the group decides.
Mhm. Great. Anybody who thinks that they might not be able to make it?
I might not be able to. I'm not sure because I've already made arrangement, not total arrangements, but I'm taking my granddaughter actually to Florida to swim with the manatees, and that weekend. So I'm not sure I can do both, back and forth is what my concern is. And, but I think I like what you're doing and I may do it. I may have to.
Or bring her. And
There
then
you go.
stay for the weekend.
This, I don't know about that, but a 16-year-old would not enjoy being with all of us, I don't think.
Oh, she could do her thing.
Hey.
There's an ocean.
What
a
do you
few feet
mean?
away. Besides, we're young at heart.
Yeah.
So, but I like the ideas of the way you food and the cash bar. I do like all of that. It's just the fact, I'm not sure yet whether I can do this.
Okay, for the other night, do we want to have a buffet or do we just want to have on our own? Or, the thing is, if we want to be together,
Yeah,
then we've got to do something or decide what to do. And it could be anything from a buffet to a pizza party to sit down meal, whatever we want to do. Does anybody have any thoughts for the other night that's not the cash bar and hors d'oeuvres?
I think whatever we do would be fine. We want to be together. That's the whole purpose.
Okay, so we should do
If anybody
something.
wants to go out on their, off on their own, at this point, we want to see each other. We want to talk to each other. We want to spend time together. So
Okay.
I think whatever we do, we really need to do as a group. If
All right.
anybody wants to do it on their own, they can always go on their own.
Let me pose some scenarios. One would be a different set of hors d'oeuvres and a cash bar for the second night. The other would be a buffet dinner for the second night. And lastly, if we have that room to do what we want with, would be a pizza party.
Yeah.
Any
Whatever.
thoughts of those three things?
Yeah, number 3 for me.
You'd like-
Only if it's New York pizza.
Pizza, yeah.
Not a chance.
I want it flown in.
We'd have to fly it in.
I think a buffet dinner is good.
Yeah,
We
Dave,
Only
need
the
some
pizza down here is-
protein here.
You like a buffet?
Dave, I think it's a buffet with making sure one of the items at the buffet is pizza.
There you go.
That would probably be possible, but it's going to be the
It
same
is.
amount per head probably, and
Mhm.
that's a low cost thing, but okay. And Tony, you just like to bring in pizza, is that right? And some other,
Yeah, I think getting pizza in the buffet would be tough. I was just thinking if we just did a pizza party, but yeah. But
I don't mind that. I mean, I could go either way. I'm happy to do whatever the group wants to do.
a buffet or another night with lighter the hors d'oeuvres we talked about would be fine with me, because to me, getting together, food is incidental at that point.
Yeah.
It's just whatever we can do to maximize face time together is what I'm
Absolutely.
fired up.
Any other thoughts about how we might set up that second night?
I think that everybody would like just to do whatever we want to be together.
Okay, well, we have several possibilities. We'll talk them around in the committee and come back to you with something then.
Yeah.
I think a buffet.
Dave, we
I don't know
we
if
have to
anybody
see,
can hear.
Dave, we have to see what kind of a package.
Yep, we do. And we don't have everything worked out yet.
We can.
All right, what about NASA? Anybody interested in that?
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
I think that would be a good option.
Okay. And
It's
We can
not
talk-
an inexpensive
Dave, we
day.
can talk to the hotel. The hotel might be able to get us the discount tickets. I know you can get group tickets.
okay, and Bob might have some contacts.
Yeah.
The
Zabra-
hotel could probably arrange a van to take everybody there and back without having to drive. So that might be something to look into.
It's not that far, and a bunch of us will have our cars
Yeah.
also, because a bunch of us will probably drive.
That's another
How many of us
possibility. I
living-
mean, I will have room for several people in my car.
Yeah,
And I'm planning on driving my truck down.
I thought we talked about the fact that the area we're looking at is attraction rich. And there's certainly nothing wrong with NASA being one of the things, but I'm sorry, when we went to Southampton, I drove out to Montauk Point. Just, that's what I wanted to do.
Well,
And,
that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I think we need to have that kind of flexibility in terms of our thinking.
Well, we
And
don't
also, I'll
have,
remind you that the other meal besides dinner is brunch. And in reality, on an event like this, sort of a brunch is when people may choose to get together on their own or go places or do something and whatever. And that's just the
Well,
reality of it.
we have the second morning, the Thursday morning, late morning, we could do a brunch as a group or on our own. What are you talking about having it as a group activity? Or,
No, I'm just talking about the fact that we can make up things as we go, or in preparation for things. We don't need to book things through the hotel in terms of what we do for brunch. Let's put it that way. There's got to be some places to eat around there that are attractive for, say, a brunch type menu.
well, I'm happy to go out of the hotel, as you sound like you are, but not everybody is.
I
And
understand, and I'm not. I think you get
Just remember,
to the extent that you
if you
over-design
start
it.
talking 30, 40 people, I'm not sure you want to have 30 or 40 people running into the
Again, I just suggest you go ahead and do what you think is
place
best,
down here.
and people will opt out or not. I mean, that's
okay, they seem to have an optional thing where people can buy a breakfast coupon or something. And that doesn't have to be part of the fee. That can be an optional thing if it's okay with the hotel. The NASA thing could be an opt-in rather than part of what we charge. There's all kinds of possibilities. So we'll kick them around some more. And let me ask you this: do you want to have another happy hour at some point? Let's see. This is 2 months from the last one. Do you want to have one in August?
Sure.
Fine.
Yep.
Oh, you mean on Zoom?
Yeah,
Yeah, another one of these.
Yes, definitely, I would.
we can talk this up more.
Oh, yeah.
And
Things will be firmer by then too.
yeah, and let me ask you this: is Saturday evening a good time for you? Would you rather have it midweek?
I think we might get more people during the week.
I agree.
All right, we'll set up a weekday.
Sounds good.
Is that okay with you, John?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I
That's
mean, to me, all the day is the same. I can't even tell.
It sure is.
It's so true.
That's one thing about retirement. I have to look at the calendar to find out what day of the week it is. And sometimes I mess up. Like I was thinking last week that it was a Thursday and it was like a Tuesday or something. So, it's not that my mind is going, it's just that there's no differentiation among the
Right.
different days of the week. Okay, well, we'll look for a weekday in August,
Mhm.
unless you want to meet sooner. I mean,
No, that's, sounds good.
okay,
Sounds good.
okay. Anything else anybody would like to say before we sign off? We've been on for our 2 hours. We can keep going if you want.
Yeah.
And tell stories like Harold wants to do.
I'm gone. I'm leaving.
Yeah,
I just got a
Dogs
low
say it's
battery
dinner
signal. so-
time.
Yeah,
My time
well,
is
For me,
limited.
it's dinner time now too.
me too. It's 9 o'clock. And I'm having leftovers, so it won't take long to
Okay.
make dinner.
My iPad's dying.
Well, you people are wonderful. I love you all and glad you joined us. You've given us a lot of thought as to what we can do to make this happen. And there we go. I really want to thank John. We kind of dumped on him because he lives so close to where we wanted to go. And he's done the heavy lifting for us. And I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey.
All right. Any other business to come before this body?
No, Harold? I just wanted to tell you, I will be in Anchorage in July of 22.
Okay.
I am taking my granddaughter on a cruise to Alaska. So I will see you in July of 22.
Good. How old's your granddaughter?
Great.
16.
60. Well, she'll be
What?
17. She'll be 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my 21-year-old granddaughter will probably be up here just right about then.
Oh, that would be great.
That would be wonderful.
He's got enough 2 dogs.
Okay.
I have 2 dogs and they're saying bye.
Okay, bye.
Good
Anything
night,
else?
everybody.
All
Time
right,
to
well, we'll say
go.
good night. Thank you all.
Great to
and
see everybody.
Look, same here, Ed, and look for emails from us. We're gonna keep in
And
contact.
if any of you are coming to Central Texas, give me a shout.
Okay, is
Okay.
anybody, I'm gonna be in Kansas City in August. Anybody live near there? There's nothing near there.
Nothing there.
No, I'm sorry, I'll be in Houston, come to think of it.
If you're in Dallas.
Where is Houston to you Texans?
Well, for me, you're 3 hours from
Good.
me. But I have a daughter who lives in Houston.
Okay, well, I could look her up, but I don't know her.
But I have a way of
Yeah.
going down and bunking in with her when I need to go to Houston.
Okay. Well, I'll be there for pretty much of a week for a conference, but I'm sure I can pull away. Okay.
All right.
Great.
Well, good. I'll see you all in 2 months and we'll be in touch by email before then. Oh,
Good night, everybody.
if there's any changes in your directory information, please send it to me. Or send it to the reunion address.
You mean address or just email?
Address, phone, email, your name if that changes.
No. No chance.
Well, if you're desperate.
All right. Good night, all.
Happy
Okay, thank
Friday,
you, thank you.
everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Ed.